You move over to the operating booth, the last sounds of the other ride fading away to nothing behind you and leaving you in cold silence. The booth has speakers of some kind, and a keyboard covered with the numbers 1 through 39, and end. There is what looks like a keyhole, and someone has left a note on top of the podium. Seeing no immediate danger, you reach into their coat and take a better look at those pictures from the teacups. You take a closer look at the center picture. That isn't Mary. It looks like Marissa. That bitch! She's been saying things about James, hasn't she? But why would James touch her? Why does she look more like Mary the more you look at her? There's a mark on your uncle's face. Somehow it looks like it's part of the photo. You put aside the creepy photographs, and your growing anger, and your concern for the uncle for just a moment, to look at the note. It looks like it's from a park employee, from whenever there were actually people here. Boss wants all the tools locked up after last week's incidents, so I put everything in the crawl space under the ride. You can get in with a master code. Remember, it's ascending. Alright, numbers. What numbers have we seen? Let's check the pictures. You check over all of the pictures. There's nothing written on either of the other pictures, and nothing on the backs of any of the three. But now that you think about it, weren't there numbers written on the other pictures you found of Uncle James by the test of strength? You remember there were. They showed the numbers 3, 15, and 22, and the Marissa picture shows 37. Okay, you put the key into the console. So far so good. Looks like you're right. That's a way to open the crawl space. Now the pros, there might be something you can use in the tools. Or there might be something horrible in there. Do you really want to open it? You've come this far. You've braved hell for your uncle. A stupid crawl space is not going to defeat you. You turn the key and punch in each of the numbers in ascending orders, then you punch the end key. As soon as you do, there's a loud, echoing click, like the tick of a clock. You look up and see a panel under the ride has opened. A chill comes over you, like a breath of icy wind. You yank the key out, and it jingles in your hand. The icy breath of air ruffles the collar of your coat as you reflect briefly on what might be under there. Gruesome dolls, disgusting bodies, those red eyes that stared out of you from underneath the bed. God only knew. Did God know? Could he even see in this wretched place? Silent Hill. You take out your trusty flashlight and toss it in the dark space where the cold breeze is coming from. An instant later, you regret it. What kind of crawl space has stairs? You check to see if your radio is on, and maybe you could already hear in the back of your mind. That's why you thought of that. You find that it's emitting a soft, nearly subconscious hiss from its cheap little speaker. You hold it in your hand as you do a circuit of the Tilt-a-Whirl. You get a better look at the carriages of the ride. There's something subtly off about them. Maybe it's those restraints that look eerily like manacles. However, there doesn't seem to be anything of great interest around the other side of the ride. As you make your way back to the hole with the stairs, you notice the static growing slightly louder. Gun in hand, you put the Tilt-a-Whirl between you and the crawl space, watching it intensely. However, no matter how long you watch, nothing emerges from the hole. The sound of distant static stops growing louder, hissing ominously. You cautiously approach the hole again and peer in, remembering you saw something sitting there. Your flashlight still illuminates the stairs from below. You kneel down to your hands and knees and grab the paper, which turns out to be something folded. You unfold the newspaper, which turns out to be a newspaper clipping from around 2 weeks ago. You can't tell what city it's from. It reads, "Suspect in assault case flees arrest. Police attempted to arrest local man, Evelyn something, in connection with the recent case of sexual assault, which was pulled over by a traffic officer for taillight malfunction, and the officer found the man in possession of what he termed highly suspicious paraphernalia. According to the officer at the scene, there was a heated argument, and Evelyn became violent when he was asked to come in for questioning. The officer then escalated the situation to an arrest, at which point he was attacked by the suspect's dog. After a brief altercation, the officer was rendered unconscious, and Evelyn fled the scene before backup could arrive. Police believe Evelyn to be armed and dangerous, and caution all..." The clipping cuts off there. The more you think about it, the more positive you are that you've read at least one other article about the same case. The man going around assaulting women? Yes, you found one when you were in the hotel. It's in the little medicine bottle in your coat, isn't it? You quickly fish the medicine bottle out of your coat. After shaking it gently, open it up. The article is still there and unchanged, as you remember it. Nothing else seems to be in the bottle. Looking at the two clippings, they have to be related. You can't imagine how these could be two different cases. That means the suspect in this case is probably still at large. Still, the idea doesn't trouble you as much as it could. You're pretty well armed, and it doesn't seem like this guy's killing women anyway. All in all, it could be worse, if you're reading it right. Even as you have that thought, you wonder what your uncle would say. You'd say a little prayer to keep yourself safe against this guy, but you don't want to trouble the Virgin Mary anyway. You tuck the articles away in your coat and cross yourself, praying this will all turn out all right. You're on your hands and knees at first as you enter the crawl space awkwardly and struggle to descend the stone steps. After a few cramped paces, you're able to straighten out a bit, and as the stairs descend into a cavernous and chilly hallway, the walls of which are both iced over and adorned with strange holes with hooks on chains protruding from them. The static gets louder and louder as you descend. It seems to be a long way down. You can see the light of your flashlight below, winking in the darkness. You shy away from the hooks with a grimace, taking each stair quite carefully as you go down and down. Finally, you see the bottom. There's your flashlight, shining up into the darkness, illuminating the small room at the bottom of the long staircase. The static coming from your radio is nearly deafening, and now you see why. Dimly, behind a panel of glass, you see Evelyn, backed into a corner, locked in a fight with some creature with whipping tendrils. Your heart beats in your chest heavily as you see it. There's no time to think. There's barely any time to even pray. You raise your gun and aiming at the lurching horror. You've already pulled the trigger by the time you realize you have no idea how to hold a revolver. A sprained wrist is going to be the least of your problems right now. With a sharp retort, you slam a bullet smack into the glass, finding your target with accuracy. The pane shatters and somehow explodes outward towards you in a hail of sharp glass fragments. You don't have time to scream as something undefinable somehow changes around you. There's a pulse through the air that comes through the glass, and it throws you off your feet.